14 points for a long time. Oh, Alex Fudge! A high, jumping, big-time dunk to tie it up at 58.
Hello and welcome into Tigers Roar. I am Jonathan Poche, joined as always by Buddy Songy, the Bud Man, as you affectionately call him. We're here at Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Certainly appreciate you tuning into the show. A lot to talk about. Of course, we'll recap the LSU coaching hires. Coach Brian Kelly finalizes his staff moving forward 2022. We'll talk some LSU basketball, both men and women. Of course, LSU plays tonight in Tuscaloosa against the Crimson Tide. Coach Kim Mulkey's team is also ranked inside the top 10. They'll play this coming weekend, coming off a big win against Vanderbilt. And their next game is Sunday in Gainesville against Florida. We'll also talk some NFL playoffs, Budman, a wild card weekend. And we'll talk some divisional round. A crazy matchup. Former LSU Tigers, former Rummel Raiders from Metairie, Louisiana, will square off in the divisional round. So that and a whole lot more. Certainly appreciate you tuning in to Tigers Roar. We welcome in the Budman. Great to see you on a Wednesday, Budman.
Yeah, we had a week break, and we're back. Of course, the staff has been finalized. Cortez Hankton from the Georgia staff comes over as a wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator. So his staff has now all been named. Just remember, Matt House is going to be the DC and the linebackers coach. He is still coaching with Kansas City and the Chiefs. And you mentioned Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase against Kristen Fulton. Saturday afternoon, folks, you got a doubleheader. The Bengals play at Tennessee at 3:30, and LSU plays at Tennessee at 5 o'clock. So you know I'm going to be punching and going back and forth. Big one tonight in Tuscaloosa. JP, it's hard to put your finger on it as to why LSU historically has not played well in Tuscaloosa. We'll let you hear from Will Wade. He's happy, but he also realizes they've got to change some things. Kim Mulkey and the Lady Tigers have far exceeded anybody's expectation. It's great to have two teams hovering around 10, 13, 15. LSU baseball getting closer and closer. We'll let you see from Jay Johnson and let you hear and see some of the drills they're doing. A lot of optimism there. They've come out in preseason polls 3, 4, and 8. Mm-hmm. And their transfer portal has been very good now. LSU with 11 players. And I guess it's the sign of the times, JP. But a lot of Tiger fans are saying, well, I don't know. I guess this guy's going to be all right. And just because they're coming from programs like Arkansas, ULL, East Tennessee State, FIU, they're kind of downplaying the impact. Folks, let me tell you something. If you know anything about the LSU football roster, you need bodies. And a lot of these guys have played. Joe Fouché. I guarantee you right now, Joe Fouché is going to start for LSU. He was a captain at Arkansas. And so you got to remember, start rankings don't mean everything. So we've got it all, football, basketball, baseball. And this being, of course, January 19th, the Wednesday, we are having an extremely 4-day cold front system coming in here. So make sure, folks, you take care of your neighbors, your family members. You drip your faucets at night. Be careful driving and wrap those pipes. The last thing you want is a broken pipe here. But this is going to be really cold for about 4 days starting on Friday morning.
It's always exciting, Bud, man. You start the new year, you finish up with football season, basketball season's in the mix, and you look forward to baseball season. Just under a month away when Maine comes to Alex Box to face this Jay Johnson squad. And I don't remember ever being more excited for an LSU baseball season than I am for this upcoming season. So much talent on the team that Jay Johnson inherited from Coach Maneri, and he brings over Jacob Berry, a guy who had a phenomenal freshman year, led the Pac-12 in RBIs, switch hits. Then you got Dylan Cruz and you got Trey Morgan and that pitching staff, and you bring guys in. And look, Coach Jay Johnson has said all the right things, a guy that is very detail-oriented. And just like the NFL, just like college football, he believes baseball is about matchups. He wants to have his pitching staff ready to go at all times. He's going to really work out They said, I think 7 different guys might have a chance to be a starter, but like 12 guys he's trying to figure out where they're going to come in and who they're going to face, and put a premium on left-handed arms in the bullpen, which I thought was outstanding for the LSU Tigers, something they've been missing desperately for the last few years. Excited about baseball, Bud, man. LSU, not too early to be very optimistic about going to Omaha, hosting a super regional in Baton Rouge, and just a great time of the year. Happy to be doing Tigers Roar. While we have you here, before we take our first break of the day, I want to remind you guys, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. It's a great way to keep up with everything we do at the Pelican. Of course, you have all the Tigers Roars archive. You have the Clarence Buck Show, Rocket Right, Overtime with Athletic Director Roman Banks from Southern University. That and a whole lot more. While you're at our YouTube page, go ahead and hit subscribe so you know when everything is posted new right there for your convenience. Take our first quick break of the show. Come back and talk a whole lot of LSU. NBA and NBA. We're not talking about the Pelicans. We'll talk some.
My son, you're gonna choke me up with the Pelicans.
Yeah, some transfer portals, some Brian Kelly, some basketball, some baseball, a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Happy Honda Days are back for the most wonderful time of the year at Team Honda. The savings are high on every new Honda. And with our Buy Here, Sell Here program, you'll get top value for your trade. Happy Honda Days from Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
LSU basketball just dropped a tough game at home. It was a great crowd, but LSU just could not score the basketball in the end. I think they went on a 17-2 run. Arkansas did against LSU in the last 7 minutes of the game. We've seen offensive struggles from this team in the half-court set. And they like to run. They like to set up their offense with their defense. And the defense left something to be desired, in my opinion. They gave up way too many three-pointers to Arkansas. And when you get 17-2 runs late in games, it's tough to find baskets. You saw in our opening clip, Alex Fudge drew one down. That was the only 2 points LSU scored in the last 7 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
Will Wade understands his team can play a whole lot better. But you got to understand this team just came off against 2 emotional wins against Tennessee and Kentucky, beat Florida, and then just, in my opinion, lay an egg. I mean, Arkansas
were flat.
Was a very beatable team, and they came back to bite them in the end.
And the problem when you're playing that way at home is that the crowd doesn't give you the energy and the adrenaline that you need. Look, and I say this in a complimentary way, but if I was Will Wade, I would put some of the Lady Tigers tape on at the half-court offense.
Right.
He needs to get Eric Gaines to play like Caleb Pointer.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Gaines is the guy who's getting the ball in his hands, and the offense is going through him, in my opinion, a little bit too much. Xavier Pinson, we saw him. They list him as questionable tonight. I saw him getting on the bus. He was limping.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him walking. He was limping. We're talking about jumping. We're talking about defending. We're talking about leaping. We're talking about ankles and the floor and the speed. I hope the kid doesn't play because I'm no doctor, but I saw that he wasn't ready.
Right.
That being said, Eric Gaines is love-hate. Mm-hmm. You love it when he's doing great things at the end, making transition baskets, dunking, making free throws, all that. But he has a tendency to take over. And what does that do, JP? That makes the other guys stand around. Yep. Now, last time out, and I think you'll agree that one of the big reasons they got beat at Arkansas is that Brandon Murray and Darius Days had 2 horrific offensive games.
Yep.
So want to see better spacing, want to see better ball movement, want to see better shot selection. They were shooting 79% from the free throw line before they started SEC.
Right.
Now it's all the way down to 62. That's what they're shooting in SEC.
Yep.
Defensive rebounding, they're second to last in the conference. And turnovers, they've been averaging 15, 16 turnovers a game. Listen, folks out there, this is a game that LSU can win. Bama is struggling. 3 losses in a row, 5 of 8 have been L's. But don't they hate LSU in every sport?
Oh, yeah.
They listen, they can say all the BS that they want, but Alabama wants, and of course, this starts with football and goes now to basketball and baseball and all the other sports. Gymnastics, always great competition, but that crowd is going to be ready, and they're going to try to give that team impetus to get a good start. You mentioned it, half-court offense.
Yeah.
I ask you, what do you want to see them do differently when they have to get into the half-court offense?
A lot more pick and roll, a lot more moving without the basketball. I mean, the problem with Eric Gaines, a lot of times he's just dribbling around waiting for one of his teammates to move to get open. And Will Wade notices this. He does. It's a feast for him with Eric Gaines. The guy is spectacular talent. I think he played one of his best games as a Tiger in Arkansas. He led the Tigers in scoring with 14 points. He had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and he had 4 steals. Did have the 4 turnovers, so that's something you got to clean up. But in my opinion, got to move without the ball, more back cuts. If you got to feed the post and then kick it back out, just work the set. Don't be in a rush. Just put your head down and dribble to the goal, and then hope you can have a flashy pass at the end. Just work the sets. I think sometimes that. With the defensive rebounding, the Tigers run a lot of man-to-man. They do a lot of switching on defense, and when teams spread you out and make those extra passes, a lot of guys have to fly out to try to close out the shot, and that just doesn't leave bodies down low to get the rebound. The aggressive style of defense, which you love to see the Tigers getting steals and tip passes and running the floor with transition, but that also leaves you vulnerable to giving up some offensive rebounds. I thought. When it was time to make the clutch shot for Arkansas, they did. And that guy Williams hit the clutch top of the key 3. And that was pretty much it for the Tigers. They tried to rebound, try to get Tari Eason involved. And I think his role needs to change a little bit with the Tigers. I don't mind him being the first guy off the bench, but I think it needs to come a little bit earlier and give him his break, like right in between that first 8 minutes of the half, so he can get that full 12 minutes for halftime and come back strong in the second half. Look, Will Wade, obviously a brighter basketball mind than me. Nobody's questioning that. He's going to figure it out. This team is very deep. There's a lot of people on this team that can contribute, and just got to find their mix of what works right. And if this team can make some shots, if Darius Days doesn't have 3 points and Brandon Murray doesn't have 2 points, this game is very winnable for the Tigers. Yeah. These guys just have to start making their open shots. And look, Darius Days, when a shooter gets cold, you just keep shooting until you get hot again. But unfortunately, it just never happened. I mean, he missed some shots very close to the basketball goal. Free throws killed the Tigers down the stretch. The defense, like I said, gave up too many threes, but still very intense. Played to the final whistle. Arkansas just caught LSU at the right time, coming off 2 big games at home, kind of flat. And look, SEC basketball is very good, and I believe Arkansas and Alabama are both going to be tournament teams.
I think the key thing that you said in all that is that when you beat Kentucky and you beat Tennessee, it's natural for you to relax and say, we're pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Efton Reed is a 5-star center that has lost his confidence. He has had a propensity to make the silly foul.
Yeah, the foul.
I get on my soapbox, and I hope before I'm out of the media, and I hope before I pass, that we will see college basketball go to 6 fouls.
Yeah.
We don't go to see the referees.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, I've had 4 conspiracy theories from 4 different people today saying, watch the SEC shaft them with officiating tonight. It could happen because SEC basketball officiating has always been bad. But Efton Reed, you got to get him to play. He's playing like a 2-star or 3-star right now. Yeah. Doesn't have much confidence on his offense, not rebounding, getting into silly early fouls. A lot of charging fouls. They keep picking up the dribble. And even Gaines one time, he leaves his feet, he collides into the guy, he throws an assist with a dunk and doesn't count because he's charging.
And he got hurt. He hurt himself on that play.
So they have a lot of things to clean up, but once again, they still are in a very good position. Yeah. The NET, the net ranking is way more important than the polls, and I think they're in the 7 to 10 range there.
Yep.
But I'm glad that Will Wade noticed it. Now, this is the interesting thing to see when he talks about this kind of stuff, and you'll hear him talk about LSU's guarding themselves and kind of just going around in circles. But lo and behold, this team, when they get on these runs, 3 or 4 minutes, they are just fantastic because their defense leads to transition. They're so explosive. And when they start pressing and getting the turnovers, they can make a 10-0 run on you real quick. Yep. The problem is that they've had some stretches where they go 3, 4, 7, 8 minutes without scoring a basket, and that's where I think the teamwork. But I certainly appreciate Coach Wade and the job he does, and I think the General and them get it done tonight. I got LSU winning by 5, but Alabama is a 4-point favorite. This Alabama team has lost 3 in a row and 5 of 8, so they are ready. But you know how those fans are. If LSU starts out slow, turning it over, and you go to the first TV timeout and it's 13-4 or whatever, those Bama fans are going to they're going to smell blood in the water.
Pom-pom shaking.
Pom-pom city, and then you get the officials giving them calls. The next thing you know, you're losing by double digits. I'm hoping that they can get a good start, stay out of foul trouble, and I'm like you. I want to see Tari Eason. One of the things that's happened, JP, is that when you play 15, 20 games, they get enough tape on you to where he likes to go to his right.
Right.
And so now they're going to push him to the left. Darius Days, as you said, I agree with that for the most part, but let the game come to you. I don't want to see him jacking threes when he's not making them. Don't want to see Eric Gaines shoot a 3 ball. He's still a very low percentage. So want to see teamwork, more passing, less dribbling, great defense, staying out of foul trouble, making free throws, and, of course, want to see some bodies. Get those bodies and use that elbow, your back, your butt, everything to block out. And let's see him get the 50-50 balls which and I think that somebody asked Coach Wade I guess over the weekend after the game, Monday maybe, well, did you run him? He goes, no, that doesn't do any good. I'm not going to punish him running them. He realizes that he needs their legs. But, hey, Sharif O'Neal's coming in to give him 5 to 7 minutes.
Yep.
Fudge is making big progress. Brandon Murray got to play better. Darius Day's got to play better. I still think Pinson is not ready to go. Once again, Milani Wilkinson starting to make 1 3-ball a game on the side. So if you play with a higher IQ, I think they're the more talented team. But this has been historically a tough place to win with LSU basketball in Tuscaloosa.
Right, LSU takes on the Crimson Tide tonight. You catch that game, I believe, on ESPN or ESPN2?
ESPN2.
ESPN2.
6 o'clock.
We have a presser with Coach Will Wade talking about the upcoming matchup against the Crimson Tide. We'll let you guys hear from Coach Will Wade right here on Tigers Roar.
All right, obviously, very, very difficult road game coming up after, we didn't play very well at home. So, got to turn the page and play a lot better, play with more physicality. Got to try to find a way to score some points, which will not be easy. Won't be easy sledding, and so be a big challenge for us on Wednesday night.
Have you met with the team today?
Not yet today.
Okay. I was going to find out how the message was received, but if you could kind of elaborate into the message that you delivered yesterday.
I mean, just, we've got to play better. We've got to be better with the details. We've got to, stay connected as a group. We've got to quit making the same mistakes over and over again, and we got to be cleaner on both ends of the floor.
Will, how much is this a proven game for your defense, considering how Alabama was against y'all last year, and just showing that it's a real turning corner, turning the page kind of thing?
I mean, our defense is the best in the country. I mean, I don't know. How much more we got to prove it, but I mean, certainly Alabama's offense is extremely, extremely potent, very, very good. And to your point, they are built. Quinterly can take advantage of the mismatches. J.D. Davison can take advantage of the mismatches. Shackelford can take advantage of the mismatches. So, they're built, and we're going to have to sit down and guard and stay in front of the ball. And Ellis can do the same thing. So it'll be a challenge for the defense. But if our defense doesn't hold up at Alabama, doesn't mean our defense is all of a sudden terrible. It's just a lot of it's matchup based, and we're going to have to do some different things against them than we've done this year.
I wasn't at the radio show last night, so a quick X update. How's he doing?
He's fine. He ran a little bit yesterday. He was in there again this morning, so he'll be game time decision tomorrow.
You talked about your defensive rebounding last night. When you look at it on film, is it lack of blocking out or not anticipating where the shot's going to fall? I mean, what is it? What do you see?
Lack of blocking out, lack of physicality.
Just, I guess, how much have you been able to just see just them since Saturday's loss, just kind of turn the page and just being able to kind of flush that one and just, I guess, focus towards Alabama?
Do I look like I've turned the page and flushed that one, Glenn?
What?
Do I look like I've turned the page and flushed that one?
No.
Huh?
I don't think so.
Okay. So you can't. When you play like that, you can't just turn the page. That just doesn't work.
You had a long list last night of things. What is the major right now? I mean, free throw shooting, rebounding, defensive rebounding, turnovers. Is there any one thing or all three?
I mean, the one I've focused the least on is the free throw shooting. I've focused the most probably on the turnovers and the defensive rebounding. The turnovers are I think I said it last night, the simplest to get fixed. Like, that's the most fixable issue that we have. The defensive rebounding is somewhat fixable, but the turnovers are very fixable. So I've spent a majority of my time yesterday trying to fix the turnovers. I'm going to try again this afternoon when we get into practice. Like that's where I've put a majority of my time. Look, our defense. I said it last night. I mean, I mean, we're scoring like 60 points a game in SEC play. It's not. I mean, we can't just keep our defense can't just keep holding like that. At some point, it's not going to work. And we've got to be able to manufacture some points.
You talked about the differing lineups contributing to your lack of offensive production. I guess, what is it that you would like out of the guys when they're on the floor? Is it more recognition? Obviously, you talk about movement. I know that. But is it playing with patience, playing with a plan? What are you missing there?
Well, you got to play with some poise. We don't have very good precision of movement, as I would call it. Like, we just move to kind of move. Like, there's no precision to it. We cut like in a banana in circles instead of straight lines, and we don't, we guard ourselves. I was telling one of them, I mean, we just look like a one-legged duck swimming. We just all the way around. We just move in the same spot over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so we just gotta have better movement. It's been a problem for us all year. It's just now catching up to us when you're playing the best teams on your schedule, and you got other good athletes, and you got other good guys that can close things down.
Are there opportunities to get Tari more involved in just the half-court offense?
Yeah, but I mean, he's got to post up. When they switch him, like they did yesterday or the other night, he's got to post. He just stands down there. Like, he's got to post up, and we went over that with him. He guards himself sometimes, and I'm not saying we don't miss him sometimes when he is open. Like, we missed him sometimes, but other times he stands down there and he's got to be physical and post him up, or everybody's just going to switch him, and everybody's going to put smaller guys on him, and like he's got to work to get open too, and when he works to get open, I'll make sure the ball's getting down there. No, there's some things, and I got to help him out. I mean, we got to do a better job. I got to help him out. They're sitting on the right hand. People have figured it out, which is not hard to figure out. But I've got to open up some more driving lanes for him, which I'll do. It's not his fault. I mean, this is he's a focal point of a scouting report now, and so it takes him adjusting to, and he's going to adjust. He's a good player, but he's got to. When they switch, you can't just stand down there and hope the ball gets to you. Like, you've got to post them, you got to be physical, and then we got to have a guy flash. There's a couple times where we didn't have anybody flash. Like, you just, you may think you're open, but you're not open. There's backside help. There's all sorts of other things going on, and so we've got to be able to recognize that. And that's just the growing pains as a player. Days went through the same thing last year when they would switch the ball screens on him, and so it was just a different way of playing things, and there's ways to combat that, and we've talked about that with him, and like I said, Tari's sharp, Tari's smart. He's a great basketball mind. He's a great player, and he'll adjust. It's just going to take some time.
And then going back to Alabama real quick, obviously some change in their backcourt from last year, but is there any difference in really their style or anything, how they play offensively?
No, they do the same stuff. They shoot a bunch of threes. They don't take mid-range jump shots. They get to the rim. They're top 25 in the country getting to the rim. No, there's not much difference in what they're doing stylistically.
Do you feel that Saturday's performance had a bit to do with guys buying into all that outside noise and congratulations and the positivity they were getting in like the rankings and?
I don't know. I don't. No, I mean maybe, but we didn't play very well at Florida either. We just didn't get better last week, and that's frustrating to me. And I think we missed some opportunities last week to really take a step forward as a team, and. That was disappointing. I don't know how much about the rankings and all that stuff. Will we fall out of them? Oh, I wish we'd have fallen out.
And I guess what's the dangers of going into an environment against a team that's on a 3-game losing streak? And
they're going to be desperate. We're going to get their best game. They're going to play. They're going to play as well as they've played all year. I have no doubt about that. Quinterly and Shackelford are going to play great. Like, it's going to be, That's why you'd like to have a little bit of runway going into the game by beating Arkansas. That would have been the prudent thing to do.
Well, whether it goes back to actually just the competition, last 2 games you've scored your least amount of points in the second half. What is the cause of that?
We turn the ball over too much. We take poor shots. pretty simple.
I think you said after the game, just the number of minutes that some of your guys were playing might have led to just kind of some of the just getting
we wear
bogged
down. I mean, we got guys out there. We've been trying to keep guys at 28 to 30 minutes. That's where we've been really good. I thought Arkansas had flipped the tables on us. We've kind of worn teams down. That last 9 minutes, we wore down against Arkansas, and so we haven't we haven't been able to use our depth with all the injuries and everything else that we got going on. We just haven't been able to use the depth to the level that we need to.
You talked about all the things that you need to fix when you're fixing them. Do you fix them with fundamental drills, or do you fix them with making them run sprints? How do you fix
fundamental drills? You don't fix anything with running sprints. It just makes me feel better. We didn't run a sprint yesterday. We did. One team lost in a competition and they ran a sprint, but that was it. Like that doesn't. What I want to do to make myself feel better is not what's best for the team all the time. So you have to have the discipline to do what's best for your team. Sure, I'd love to have just run the hell out of them yesterday, put trash cans on either end, and whatever. But that doesn't help us move forward. That doesn't help us get better. That doesn't help us solve our turnover issue. It doesn't help us solve any of our issues. And so it's not what I would like to do to make myself feel better and say, oh, I did this, I did. No, it's what gives us the best chance to get these issues under control. And can we see some progress on Wednesday night at Alabama? Can we see some progress later on in the week on Saturday? That's my job, is to do what's best for our team and our program and our guys to give us the best chance to cut this stuff out and be better at it.
You said last night the Florida game, you kind of could see this coming. I mean, you didn't want to rain on that parade after, I guess. But what did you see against Florida that led you to believe that?
Our preparation was poor. I thought we'd lose to Florida, to be honest. Our preparation, I thought, was really poor. If we lost to Florida, we'd have had their attention for Arkansas. It kind of goes both ways. But, our preparation was poor going into Florida. We were very fortunate to win that game. And our preparation was poor going into Arkansas as well. So, does that answer your question?
But did you say anything technically that you wanted to fix right away?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of stuff I wanted to fix, but they were so happy in the locker room. I don't want to just go in there. I never want to take the fun out of winning, even though, sometimes I do, but I try not to, especially an SEC road game. Like, that was our first SEC road win. Those are not easy to come by in the situation we were in. And then the problem was on Thursday, I couldn't get through to him in the film session because the stuff I was showing that I wasn't real happy about, well, Coach, we won. We pulled it out. Yeah, but we're not going to keep pulling out, games like that if we can't get this corrected. So, I did a poor job of communicating what I needed to communicate to the guys to really turn it. And so I guess that would be why.
And we continue on Tigers Roar. Subdued Will Wade in that press conference, bud. Man, kind of soft-spoken, low-key, but gotta love the intensity that man brings to the court each and every game. It kind of reminds you a lot of Brian Kelly, a guy that's like always right on the verge of flipping out on somebody. But the players love it. They love how they push him, and he thinks a lot can get corrected.
He definitely is a player's coach, and it will be interesting to see the mindset on offense. Look, half-court offense, we talked about it. Defensive rebounding, turnovers, and free throw shooting. And it's easy to get back your stroke shooting free throws. Of course, we know rebounding is an attitude. And then you get into the turnovers. Will said that's what they worked on the most. As we know, Xavier Pinson slipped on the wet spot and has been coming back, a partial strain of the MCL. Just from what I saw him boarding the bus, I don't know if they shoot him up and get him to play in this game or not. I hope not, because it's a long stretch and it's a long season. I'd rather have him healthy at the end of the year, even if he's got to miss another game. But Efton Reed, is that confidence? Is that lack of telling him what to. He just doesn't look like the same player.
No,
JP.
very unsure of himself, and I believe that's just not getting in a rhythm in a game in weeks. I mean, the foul trouble has kept him off the court, and when you're not in a rhythm and your confidence is down, and then you just think you're going to make another mistake, so you're not sure if you should hustle or go 100% after a ball. You don't want to get a foul and get taken out, and you're hurting the team if you're on the bench all the time. It's totally between his ears. I mean, the kid is very talented, great size. The Tigers need Afton Reed. I mean, Sharif O'Neal does come back and gives you some solid minutes. Good defensively, but he's still very rusty.
Very raw offensively.
Trying to work
and Tari Eason's got to get back in his groove. As I said, everybody's realizing he likes to go to his right and dribble. And now he's got some spin moves and all that. But once again, what game was it? He played 7 minutes and fouled out.
Right.
Afton Reed played 13 minutes and fouled out. So got to do all those things. All that being said, a top 15 team. And we are hoping to see LSU have more and more sellouts. Once again tonight, it is Wednesday, January 19, 2022. That's right. We're flipped over to 2020. Did you make the mistake yet? Did you sign something that said 21?
Well, of course I did.
I haven't. It's an easy correct because you can make the one into a two very easily. But I'm excited that we're moving forward with, of course, two really quality basketball programs, and obviously with Jay Johnson, we'll let you. We'll talk a little bit about that. But when we come back from the break, we're going to get into the staff that has finally been named, even though Matt House is still with Kansas City. He's going to coach linebackers and be the DC. And Cortez Hankton, Jr., a lot of relationships and tie-ins with him and Frank Wilson now. You would think that LSU, not necessarily, believe it or not, folks, 2 weeks from today is the second signing period. Jacoby Matthews, Danny Lewis, and maybe another one or two. But this transfer portal, we'll go through some of these kids. And even though the fan base is sitting there freaking out because, well, these aren't Georgia players, Alabama players, or whatever, when a guy's a three-star, I think he plays with a little chip on his shoulder. And I think some of these guys, you need bodies, and, it's hard to project how good they're going to be with a new staff. Look, we talked about it today with Mike. If you want to be realistic and objective, you're probably talking about 2 years before you see LSU being a top 10 or top 15 team. But that schedule starts off mighty nice, and I know you probably will be in that Superdome when LSU plays Florida State or the Sunday of Labor Day weekend. That's this year, folks. That's where you start in the Big Easy at the Superdome.
That's right. We'll talk some LSU football. Come back after this break. He's the Bud Man. I'm JP. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
You've waited, and now Toyotathon is here at Team Toyota. Every new Toyota's on sale with end-of-year savings. And with our Buy Here, Sell Here program, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade. The selection and savings are right here for you at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill.
Caught spiders? fast service.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
We continue on Tigers Roar. The Budman entertaining everyone here at Old School Barbecue. Come check it out. They have a great daily lunch special, a pulled pork sandwich, 2 sides for under $7. Comes with a drink. But man, they call it the Boss Hog here at Old School Barbecue, and that pulled pork sandwich is phenomenal.
No doubt about it, and you can smell it when you're coming in the parking lot. And boy, I tell you what, for that. Get your gumbo ready and get all your warm comfort food ready for the next 4 days. But let's get into football here because it's been a big transition. And, JP, let's kind of go through the staff. And right out of the gate, and Scarborough was griping a little bit about this on the air with us today, Brian Kelly has not made the media rounds. He's not done really any media functions. I said I'd rather him get his feet wet.
He's got a lot to do.
Learn the landscape of what he's like. And instead of going around and parading around and talking, I want to see him doing the hard work. And, you're salvaging this recruiting class. But I think he did an excellent job filling his staff in.
Yeah, I mean, it took about 6 weeks, and you mentioned coaches that had teams in the playoff and coaches that were already in NFL. And we'll start with the offensive coordinator, guy from Cincinnati, the offensive coordinator, and tight ends coach Mike Denbrock. But, man, what do you know about the Cincinnati offensive coordinator?
Him and Coach Kelly have had a relationship for about 15 years. He was the offensive coordinator with Cincinnati the last 3 years. And he's going to use the tight end a lot. He's going to be you're not going to see the wide empty with 5 wides with Joe Burrow, but you are going to see 2 and 3 tight ends. Now, here's the question, and we posed this question today, and I think you got to be patient here, but are you going to get, as was predicted when Brian Kelly was named the coach, are you going to get a couple big uglies from Notre Dame, whether it be a tight end or an O-line? That has not happened yet, but you still have time for that. But I think you're going to see more balanced. And obviously you want to run it, you want to pass it, you want to be smart, and you want to utilize your talent. For those of you who've not kept up with it, Keyshawn Butte and a bunch of others, thanks to Gordon McKernan and a lot of local big-time businessmen have bellied up to the bar. A&M was head and shoulders above everybody on the game plan that they had, a 3-level game plan. They not only got people to come in and paid millions for this last recruiting class, but they've locked it in for this year, that boom, boom, boom. So LSU a little behind, but they're catching up. So Keyshawn Butte and those guys coming back. But Mike Denbrock, it's going to be interesting to see kind of 50-50 balance, but when he sees Keyshawn Butte, Malik Neighbors, Jack Besh, all these other talented guys, it's kind of hard to predict, but he is a well-known offensive coordinator and not taking a shot at the previous guy. He's been calling the plays a long, long time.
Yeah, Coach Denbrock, I mean, a lot of LSU fans got introduced to this man with that Cincinnati-Georgia game. That game was not fair.
Cincinnati-Alabama game, yeah.
Alabama, excuse me. Those rosters don't match up.
No.
Cincinnati offensive lineman cannot block the Crimson Tide. It just wasn't even – it was apples and oranges. You cannot compare what he's going to do for LSU against Alabama.
But fans do that.
With a lineup from Cincinnati. And, look, the first one through the wall is going to get bloodied. Cincinnati was the first one out of the group of 5 to make the Final Four. Pulled a buzzsaw in Alabama. Who was playing great football at the time. The quarterback was going to win the Heisman. And look, the rosters did not match up. Wait and see what Coach Denbrock does with the talent and the roster that LSU has, and then judge him. Judge him on his body of work while he's here at LSU. Got to trust in Coach Kelly. All right, moving Defense side of the ball, Bud, man, and a guy that Tyrann Mathieu gave a glowing review to, the linebackers coach in Kansas City Chiefs for the NFL, Coach Matt House. And how you feel about that hire?
Well, he's going to coach linebackers, and I would imagine, as cliche as we all get in the media, when they blitz, we're going to have some corny thing about bringing the house. And you know I'm a big-time believer in putting pressure and making that quarterback throw it before he wants to. I think it's going to be interesting when you talk about just in the last 2 years, LSU has had and lost Derek Stingley Jr., Eli Ricks, and now Dwight McLaughlin, who it seemed like didn't mesh with the new staff. And as we talked about last time, you're going to draw a line on the sand. If you cross over it, well, guess what? You're going to be made an example of. So they've got some real rebuilding at corner. I think they're going to be better, appreciably better at safety. But, man, the linebackers, this guy, as you alluded to with Tyrann Mathieu, I think, and Demario Tolan is one of those new guys coming in. Greg Penn, Micah Baskerville said he'd be back this week.
That's huge.
And also Mike Jones. And so I think he's going to have plenty of talent to work with. But once again, going to be fun to see what he does because he's a real professional. I'm very excited about both these coordinator hires.
Special teams coordinator Brian Polian, a guy that's been around football his entire life, son of a great NFL exec, Bill Polian, a guy that made a lot of money off of the Peyton Mannings in the world. He's going to be kind of Coach Kelly's point man, not only recruiting, but he's kind of his day-to-day. And I mean, what an outstanding hire for LSU to get a football mind like Brian Polian.
Absolutely. When you wake up and, his brother does this over at Texas, and, of course, Bill Polian for many, many years was one of the most renowned and famous GMs. He's probably been talking football with his daddy and his family since he was about 6 years old. Really personable guy, and he has been the lead guy on a lot of these transfer portal recruits. So and look, special teams, as we know, Greg McMahon did a good job, but I want to see a couple things improve tremendously with special teams. Number one, when's the last time LSU had a decent punt returner? And number two, when's the last time LSU blocked a punt or a kick?
Right. Great questions. All right, but man, moving right along. Of course, the last hire that LSU made to finalize that staff was the wide receivers coach in Cortez Hankton, a guy from New Orleans, was on the staff at Georgia. He now has a national championship. Georgia's receivers did well, obviously, this season. So, I mean, it's coming off of a little bit of momentum, moving to SEC West and LSU.
Man, that is a coup right there. Are you kidding? Georgia pays big money. You get all those recruits. You just won a national championship. And the allure to come back to the state of Louisiana and not have to eat gumbo out of the to-go cart is, I think, and listen, everybody is just chomping at the bit to see what Hankton and Frank Wilson can do. Now, it's a little late this year because they got in, they didn't know the lay of the landscape, and these kids make these decisions relatively soon. But I think that moving forward, you're going to see a lot more emphasis on the high school recruit, on the Louisiana prospect, and as you know, you always have about 15 or 16 studs. If you can lock down that state and put that fence, Saban came in here and got 3 wide receivers, and Shaz Preston and Kendrick Law, and of course some other kids. And so it's a good thing to have Hankton around here. And oh, by the way, these wide receivers, it'll be good to see them learn from a coach that's had great success.
Running backs coach and assistant head coach Frank Wilson, a guy LSU is very familiar with. In my opinion, I need him to lock down Trevante Citizen. I mean, the guy in your own backyard, outstanding running back at a position of need for the Tigers. I hope Coach Frank Wilson can get that done.
You need to ask Mike about that because Mike thinks that Citizen, who, by the way, was committed to LSU months ago, is leaning towards Auburn. This is one of the things that some of the fans disagree with me, but I watch a lot of college football. And you just have to go back to the 2019 season. LSU had an elite running back. What's elite? That's when you're undersized and not extremely fast, and yet you still get picked in the first round.
Right.
And no disrespect to Tyrion Davis-Price or John Emery or any of those guys on there. LSU's got to get better at running back. Have that guy that can take it to the house every big play. Have the guys that can catch the football out of the backfield. 55 pass receptions from the backfield with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, including that one right before halftime for a touchdown against Bama. That's the kind of stuff you need. I want to see LSU get better at the running back. Oh, by the way, I ask you, can John Emery, can the light finally go on for this guy? Because, you know, a couple years ago against Alabama in Tiger Stadium, he looked like the guy we thought he was going to be.
Certainly.
Had a great run for a touchdown, had a great game. Certainly he's working to get his academics right, but can he make a bunch of money by having a great senior year this year?
I certainly hope so. I mean, for the kid. I mean, I saw a clip on him on Twitter, him running up the levee and juking and running.
Working hard.
Certainly putting in the effort, putting in the work. I mean, it would have been easy for him to hit the portal and try to go somewhere else. LSU did what they can with his academics. Of course, we know the story with that. LSU definitely missed him on the field this year. I certainly hope he can put it together and have a good year. Definitely talented enough to make it to the next level, but you got to put it all together. You got to do it it's got to be the time and the place. I mean, it's got to a lot of different things have to work together. Emery, a guy super talented. LSU kind of thought he'd be the next guy, but it never kind of worked out. Struggled with injuries, getting on the field, and in the playbook, and then the academics last year. So you just hope for the kid who stuck around, really worked hard at practice, that he's going to put it all together this year and make some money on the next level. 3 Louisiana natives on this staff, Bud, man. Starting with the first one, the only guy that was retained from Coach Ed Orgeron's staff, an offensive line coach. He was the interim head coach for that bowl game, Texas Bowl. I think he did a great job in Coach Brad Davis.
Got a lot of respect for Brad Davis. He is a no-nonsense guy. Everybody respects him, and as you probably noticed, it took him 5 or 6 games for his guys to start figuring out what he wanted. And I'm going to say it right now, and this is not much of a standard because, as we know, Max Johnson took a lot of beating last year. He got hit a lot. Also had 27 touchdowns and only 6 INTs, but he still threw under duress a lot. I'm going to predict right now that the O-line is probably going to be as improved as any unit. And Miles Frazier and a couple of other guys that they've got come on, Tremont Shorts. Those guys have a chance to come in and play. You got Will Campbell. You got Emory Jones. You've got all these guys coming in. I think they are appreciably better at the O-line, and that's what's exciting, JP. How many times have you seen LSU build with skilled people and running backs and corners and wide receivers, and you get down to the bottom of the house, and here comes Hurricane whatever, and boom, there goes your house. The foundation is going to be much stronger, and I think that the big uglies in the D-line and the O-line are going to tell you just how far this 2022 LSU football team can go.
Right. I mean, the old adage is, you know, it starts up front. Well, LSU's not talking about it. They're trying to be about it and really rebuild that foundation. Move to the other side of the ball, the defensive line, and Coach Jamar Kane. This is a coach that was well sought out after. A lot of people thought he might go to USC with Coach Riley, but no, Coach Kelly brings him down to Baton Rouge.
And he has already had an impact on the recruiting trail. Now, look, at this point, it's kind of hard to flip somebody because we've got the National Signing Day 2 weeks from today. But I can tell you, I think this guy is as good an assistant as they have hired. And I hope he stays around a long time. I had a guy from Oklahoma City, Myron Patton, who does radio and TV with me through the years. We met at the championship game, LSU Oklahoma, almost 20 years ago. And he couldn't stop talking about this guy. Great technician, great teacher of men, and a great D-line coach. And I think the D-line is going to get back to the old days with the Glenn Dorseys, the Kyle Williams, the Marcus Spears, the Marquise Hills, rest in peace. All those. I think LSU, that's what's the exciting thing. And as you know, it takes a little bit longer to get the bodies the way you want and to get the guys play the way you want. Might take a year, year and a half, 2 years, but you're going to be proud of the way this team looks and acts both on and off the field moving forward.
LSU has always been DBU. A lot of people credit Corey Raymond, former coach at LSU. Got a new quarterbacks coach this year, a young up-and-coming coach. I mean, it's kind of a hot name right now, Coach Steeples. But, man, what do you know about him, and are you excited about that hire?
Yeah, and you know, the thing of it is as we said, there's been a lot of corners that have hit the transfer portal. It didn't work out. and of course Kerry Cooks and Robert Steeples, or are you going to be your corners and safeties coaches? And look, I think getting those guys from ULL and Arkansas and other places, they're going to be much better. The other positive tidbit here in the last couple of days, Micah Baskerville, Jay Ward, Jeray Jenkins, there was a handful more that all said we're coming back. That tells you that they're buying in to what Coach Kelly and his staff are teaching and preaching. But I do think that that's an area that we're going to watch very closely to see how good they are in the secondary. And you can't ever have enough bodies and corners and DBs in the SEC because everybody is throwing around in the spread now, JP.
That's right. You mentioned Sadie's coach, Kerry Cooks, is now going to finalize Coach Kelly's staff. But, man, got to take a quick break. We'll come back and be joined by Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com, talk transfer portal, and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
Taste the feeling.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
You could be driving. Happy Honda Days are back for the most wonderful time of the year at Team Honda. The savings are high on every new Honda. And with our Buy Here, Sell Here program, you'll get top value for your trade. Happy Honda Days from Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
And we welcome you back. Here it is as we get right past 5 o'clock on this Wednesday afternoon. Old School Barbecue, folks. Come on over and see us, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, and we will hook you up with some of the best barbecue. Bill continues to do a great job. Of course, owners Marty and Bert in the house tonight, as well as Alan and Katie in the truck. And JP, always your famous... you're famous with Dale Brown, and you know Mike Scarborough is famous with many of our listeners and viewers, and he's been a little spicy. People expecting me to have given him some Manda hot sausage because he's been a little spicy. You were a little spicy. I'm calm. What's going on around here, guys? I'm the one that's supposed to be spicy.
Well, I think, man, you're just rubbing off on the rest of us. I mean, what do you expect?
Good answer, Mike. And along those lines, Mike, I had a guy ask me, why was Mike so spicy? And let's get right to it. We don't sugarcoat it. You don't think Brian Kelly and the LSU staff have done a good enough job of knocking on doors in the capital city, seeing that there are some highly touted football players for next year's class. So happy Wednesday, and as always, great to have you on.
Well, you too, buddy. No, look, it's one of those deals. As soon as he's seen in high schools getting pictures taken, and that's going to be good. But, you know, I think what's happened this week is Saban's to Capricorn, and then he goes to Zachary. And so then they're like, well, where's Brian Kelly at? Why isn't he at these schools? And then I know at 3 or 4 high schools in the Baton Rouge area, they haven't seen a coach from LSU yet. And those are ones that have big-time, like national 100 caliber kids for next season.
JP, one of the knocks on Brian Kelly, let's just tell it the way it is that he maybe doesn't dive into recruiting headfirst like Kirby and Nick and other coaches. Do you sense that he's going to let Frank Wilson and Hankton and all those guys be the heavy guys, and he's going to come in and be the closer? And what about getting to lay the landscape? Or do you agree with Mike that he should be on this, or somebody should be on this right now, because kids are very impressionable, especially at this point. And you got a son. Yep. He's going to get recruited a year and a half before he signs, not a week or two.
Right. I mean, we all know Coach Kelly had a ton of work, plenty steps to take care of each and every day before we reach September in his first real game as an LSU Tiger head coach. But you bring in a guy like Frank Wilson and Brian Polian so they can go hit the road for you. So, I mean, he's got so much to take care of right now. Finally finalizes the coaching staff. I agree with Mike that it should be a priority to be in these high schools because, I mean, like Mike said, once you get pictures on the internet circling around about, Coach Kelly's making his rounds around Louisiana high school, I mean, you can kind of get the vibe that, he's all in. He's looking forward to recruiting Louisiana. But I cut him a little bit of break right now, just in these first a month and a half he's been with the program, because there's so much to do, so much turnover. But yeah, you bring in a guy like Frank Wilson and a Brian Polian in order to make sure the types of things Mike's talking about doesn't happen. And I believe they'll get it fixed. I mean, just so much turnover right now in a busy time of the year. I mean, it starts with New Year, new calendar. Kids get back on campus for school. And baseball starts up. Basketball's full swing. So a lot going on around the program. But yeah, I agree with Mike. At the same time, that needs to be taken care of. Got to recruit Louisiana.
Let me say this, Mike. If he comes in after taking the 3 best wide receivers in the state this year, and he comes in and he steals Shelton Sampson from Catholic High, we're gonna have to call some doctor in. I don't know if it's Dr. Phil or whoever, because people are going to be going crazy. And let's just segue right into it. Where does Shelton Sampson and LSU stand, in your opinion?
I think LSU's in a good spot, but he's also a kid that's going to take visits and listen to coaches. And look, by the way, Billy Napier's been to Baton Rouge 2 or 3 times, and he's got the state of Florida. So the Florida program in that state is in the same situation. So that's not an excuse.
Great point.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I hope Gordon lets me say this, but I'm going to say, like Gordon McConnell, get it done, Brian Kelly. Get it done.
Get it done.
And he had to get it done with Keishon Butte.
Yep.
And JP and Mike, that's the other question, Mike, that we asked you before we knew with this the transfer portal and NIL. How much is NIL and guaranteed money going to be a factor moving forward in recruiting?
Oh, it's man, I don't want to say it's everything, but I mean it's a big deal. You can't tell me that if you've got a kid who grew up in an LSU household and some school comes in from out of state and offers them $900,000 worth of NIL money, that you're not going to be in trouble as far as landing that kid.
Yeah.
I thought 500 was the going rate. It's already up to 800 or 900, and this could be problematic, and we don't know it because JP, look at the quarterback of Clemson, signed $1 million deal with Dr. Pepper, didn't do diddly squat. 10 and 9 touchdowns to INTs. On the flip side, Bryce Young, Saban went over to the Texas High School Association and said, my quarterback's already got $1 million in deal.
Yep.
He ends up winning the Heisman. So it's a big factor. I just don't want it to get to the point where a kid signs with the school because of the perks and the NIL money and all of this stuff laying in their lap before they've ever thrown a pass, caught a touchdown pass, or made a tackle.
My question for both of you guys is, when does this all explode? Like, how long can we let the NIL continue like this before it all just blows up in everyone's face? Like, who thinks it's a good idea to make 30 18-year-olds millionaires? Like, fresh out of high school, you're going to be a millionaire. Like, I'm 33 years old. I don't know if I could manage right now, and I have 2 kids, manage just being a millionaire out of nowhere. Like, you're going to have family that wants money. You're going to have people you have to take care of. You're going to have little side projects everyone wants you to get to invest in. And then before you know it, taxes on all that. And it's just so many moving parts with these young 18, 19-year-old kids. And now all of a sudden you're a millionaire. So how long can this process continue before it just blows up on everybody's face?
Dr. Mike?
There's been stories on that for years. That's going to be no different than 14-year-old tennis players that win Wimbledon. I mean, you got to have somebody there. But what do you do if the player is an 18 or a 19-year-old coming out of high school? You hope they have a good family structure, and they've got a parent that's going to give them great advice. And get them to stow it away and let them understand how much the IRS is going to take from them, and the right way to do it. And just make sure by the time you go out and buy cars and start eating at nice restaurants that you still have 20% left over to put down on a new house.
Yeah. Hey, we've talked about the transfer portal, 11 total bodies, Mike, obviously in some need areas. If you could give us 3 or 4 who you think are going to come in and be factors on this 2022 team.
As far as the portal kids?
Yeah, the portal kids.
Well, I think it starts with the offensive lineman. I like Miles Frazier. I like the East Tennessee State kid. Obviously, when you take a deep snapper, you got to feel that they're bringing him in for a reason, and he's going to be a guy that you expect to play immediately. And then from there, I think a lot of these guys, though, I think Poche is going to be a starter. Brooks is going to be a guy who plays a lot. I mean, I think they're all going to contribute.
And JP, kind of out of nowhere, Jay Bramlett, the punter at Notre Dame, coming this way. Mike, JP and I have been talking about the incredible job that Brian Poling has done, but he does seem to be the lead dog on a lot of this transfer portal. Talk a little bit about the job that he's done, and if more and more recruits are mentioning him. And, of course, secondly, what's Frank and Hankton going to do as far as a combo? Can they stop this exodus of great Louisiana talent going to the Bamas, the Georgias, and the Floridas? And let's be honest, let's admit it, Billy Napier is going to be a momentary thorn in LSU's butt until LSU continues to beat Florida on the football field. But that's why I think Mike was talking about that presence, eye contact, establishing those relationships. Right. And when you see other schools from other states coming in here, it does cause a little bit of a concern, Mike, doesn't it?
And look, absolutely, and believe me, Saban coming to Baton Rouge 2 days ago was by design, and they're all going to come here and test the waters and see how much of a mess LSU is, to see if they can siphon off a bunch of kids that first year while Brian Kelly's still trying to find his way. They're all here for a reason. They're here to test the waters, and they're all going to do their darndest to make a big dent on the 23 class in Louisiana. And there's a lot of good ones.
No disrespect to Peyton Todd, but if the light hadn't gone on for him at this point, that's another guy, Jay Bramlett, I think is going to come in and probably start at punter unless Peyton Todd can get back his confidence. I had people that went to the Texas Bowl and saw him in warm-ups and said not consistent nearly enough. So there's going to be a handful. JP, you agree, though? You get a couple of big tackles. We talked about the tackle problem.
Yep.
Dara Rosenthal was in and out of timeout and bad graces the last 2 years. Cam Wire's got some knees. Of course, Deculus, who was the guy that played in more LSU games than anybody, is gone. And so, Mike, I think that Frazier and Shorts are definitely going to be in the mix in the two deep and probably play a lot of snaps this year.
Yeah, I agree. And, the punter, Bramlett, I remember talking to the Notre Dame guy 2 months ago, and they all thought that he was a done deal to Alabama. He had let it be known before the season even started that he was going to hit the portal, and they all had him penciled in going to Alabama. And so LSU ended up getting him. That's a pretty big deal.
A couple guys I wanted to ask you about, Mike, starting with a running back out of Lake Charles Prep. Javonte Citizen, a guy that was committed to LSU for a while, decommitted. Where does LSU stand with Citizen?
Still in it. Frank Wilson's working him. But I think, like we were saying in December, had he chose to sign in the first signing period, it would have been Auburn. And I still think Auburn probably has the lead.
Isn't he coming in on a visit this weekend?
Yeah, he's coming in.
Okay.
All right, second guy, Mike, a tight end out of Westgate that was committed to Cincinnati. And, of course, we know Coach Den Brock is going to be the offensive coordinator here at LSU. Some rumblings that Danny Lewis is going to be with LSU. Of course, he gets the Alabama offer today. Where's LSU stand with Lewis?
Yeah, I like where LSU stands with him, but it, like anything else, Nick, when Alabama comes in and offers, it makes things interesting.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder. Signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. You better be singing that in 2 weeks. I think Danny Lewis is a crucial signee in 2 weeks. And, oh, by the way, he was committed to Cincinnati. Dem Brock obviously having that relationship. But, yeah, sometimes you wish when Nick comes in that he'd have a flat tire and then maybe not make it to some of these schools because right. He's just a constant pain. Jacoby Matthews, Mike, I know that you've –
But you know what? That's the whole point of him coming into town. When was the last time you heard about Nick Saban making visits to high schools in Louisiana? How long has it been? 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I was just going to ask you about Jacoby.
That tells you the quality, though, where he went to see Kylan Jackson at Zachary, the safety for next year. And then he goes, to see Shelton Sampson at Catholic. But he didn't go see Jordan Matthews at Woodlawn. He didn't go see Caleb Jackson. I know Pete Golding was at Liberty today to see him. But on one hand, you can do that, but then you can also turn it around and with the other kids and say, Saban was in town, he visited them, but he didn't visit you.
Yeah. Well, look, and we are not up here as media guys trying to tell Brian Kelly and his staff what to do. They have made many programs, elite programs, and they have made millions and millions and millions of dollars. But we know how Baton Rouge is, and we know that per capita, JP, one thing that we can take great pride in this state, I'm not going to get into all the negativity, but football, high school, athletes across the board, Louisiana is a melting pot. And I will just tell you this, there will be a lot of people with the screaming RA if they don't get out there very quickly and take care of business.
Yeah.
So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, well, I just named off a bunch of recruits in the Baton Rouge area. They need to see an LSU coach in there at the high school sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and it being local, there's no excuse. I don't want to hear any BS excuses on that. It's local. We're not driving 5 hours to go see a kid.
That's right.
Yeah, but all you're really doing is swinging in and having a cup of coffee. That's all you got to do.
But you got to tell these kids you're part of our future. Shelton Sampson is a difference maker. You better not fumble that one.
Well, you're not allowed to have contact with the recruits. The point is that you're there in the building and they know you're there in the building.
So when does that dead period stop?
Well, it's the no bump rule. you can be on campus, but you can't, how they do that, there's still a gray area.
And of course, JP, you've also got to recruit that high school coach.
Yep.
He wants to have a relationship because he's in that recruit's ear.
Yep. Mike, before we let you go, one more question for you. In your opinion, how many years is this Brian Kelly rebuild going to take? Like before LSU is back in the hunt, top 10 in the nation, competing for SEC championships and playoff berths.
I think you see real progress in year 2. And I think year 3, you should probably have some expectations.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's really hard to put any numbers as far as how many games you're going to win, what they're going to look like. But I do think that they got to dive deep into this recruiting because it's negative, it's money, it's everything about the SEC. And what is that saying that they always say about the SEC? It means more. Get it together, get your fingernails dirty, and get out there and bust the let's go. Let's see them make some activity, and because you got to have these people talking.
By the way, they haven't been to U-High yet either.
Yeah.
Right there on campus.
Hey, real quick before we wrap up with you, LSU basketball got a big one. My Henry Hayes, my basketball pundit and guru, says reminds him a lot of Cam Thomas. He'll come in, start. I know we don't talk as much about basketball recruiting, but I did have somebody ask if you had some film of Marvell Allen and what you think he brings to the table. Combo guard, one of the best in the country, Mike.
Yeah, we had some video that a YouTube package that we included in his commitment story Friday night. 5-star shooting guard, absolutely fantastic. What I like about him, he's not a big social media guy, highly intelligent kid, and there's real talk about him reclassifying for 2022, so that we see that a lot with basketball prospects. So he might be a kid that's suiting up for Will Wade next season.
Hey, the last one I got to ask you about, if you could just tell everybody about the best lady, the best young lady prospect, and Kim Mulkey has certainly done her due diligence as she's been phenomenal. Tell us about that young lady and where you think LSU stands.
Well, yeah, I keep wondering. It all depends on the draw, but the men's and women's LSU basketball teams, are they both second-round caliber teams? Can one of them get into the Sweet 16? If you get a good enough draw in your Will Wade team, can you make it to an Elite 8? Can she do the same? I kind of feel like they're both in that realm. Now, after LSU laid an egg against Arkansas, it kind of makes you step back a bit. But I wonder if this LSU women's team might be a lot better than people think. They're already snuck into the top 10 in the coaches poll at number 9. But is that a team that, she was just talking about, all last year, that she just wanted to win one more game than the previous year. Well, she blew through that. So only has 2 losses on the season. Is she going to go further in the tournament? And then I kind of joked with my guys over that run the Baylor site. I said, would the NCAA tournament committee have a sense of humor and put Baylor and LSU in the same bracket?
Yeah, no doubt. But look, you've done a bunch of interviews. If you could just tell us that young lady's name and what you think she brings to the table and where LSU stands with her.
Oh, you're talking about Michaela Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seen her play?
Outstanding. City, number 1 basketball prospect in the United States for the class of 23. And Mulkey was there Saturday night in Lake Charles watching her play with Simone Augustus with her in the stands.
Yeah.
And, we did 2 days in a row of features on her. Filmed her at a tournament at West Monroe when they played Ponchatoula and Lafayette High back-to-back. And I think LSU's in great shape with her. And if you've watched her film, not only what's on YouTube, but what we shot, I mean, look, I actually think she's better than Simone Augustus was at that age.
Wow. All right, Mike.
And that's it. That's who you win a national championship with.
Right. I know you and Buddy did Facebook Live last night, Mike, but go ahead and tell everybody about TigerBait.com, the YouTube, the Facebook, the whole deal.
Yeah, check us out, TigerBait.com. Go subscribe. Lots of recruiting stuff, visitors coming in. We're going to have all that for you on the site. And LSU Tigers on Tiger Bait is our YouTube channel. And, of course, follow me on Twitter at Scarborough Mike.
Real quick, LSU Bama, give me a score. I got it 70-65, LSU by 5 tonight. What you feeling?
Yeah, I'll go 75-71 LSU.
JP?
68-62 Tigers.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Talk with you next week, man.
Okay, man. All right. Bye.
And look, it's kind of nice, and nobody's scolding anybody, but I think we are emphasizing when you come to the SEC, and now you've got Billy Napier at Florida, and you got Saban. Saban is always going to be a pain in your rear end.
Yep.
And after what happened with the 3 wide receivers he took from the state this year, you got to prevent that moving forward, JP.
We'll take a quick break, talk some LSU baseball, and put a big old bow on this episode of Tigers Roar. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
Okay, here to put a bow on this episode of Tigers Roar. But, man, let's talk some LSU baseball. February 18th, Maine comes to Alex Box. Coach Jay Johnson wants to start his year off right. Lots of talent on this team. Preseason ranked 3, 4, and 8, depending on where you do your shopping. But the lineup is going to be outstanding. I mean, Coach Jay Johnson has had offensive success everywhere he's been. Very detailed in his approach to the plate. He said this team is not going to swing at balls. I think that's going to immensely helped the Tigers score some runs.
Yeah, and look, LSU did a good job of hitting home runs last year. If you remember, Gavin Dugas, Dylan Cruz, and Kate Doty all hit 15 or more, hit 93 as a team. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this team's going to hit over 100. Jay Johnson is known for offense. You're going to be selling a lot of those T-shirts. Remember when they were the hot thing to buy? Chicks dig the long ball. Everybody digs the long ball. The interesting thing is that LSU now has enough depth and position players. If a guy gets hurt, you can put somebody in. Dylan Cruz is going to play center field. Jacob Berry, as we said, is going to be a guy that can DH, play outfield, or play third base. You got a bunch of arms, including 4 really good lefties. And when I asked Coach Johnson last week about who's going to be your weekend starters and all that, he said, look, the fans are going to get mad, but we're going to use a lot of pitchers until we figure out who's a starter, who's a reliever. And, of course, Devin Fontenot is a guy that wants to start this year. He came back. Gavin Dugas came back. So a lot of positive karma towards baseball. I'll make this easy prediction. The box is going to be back lit and rocking. And Chris Guillotte and the K-Lady are going to be working their tails off because there's going to be a lot of fun. Now, as you would imagine, the SEC is loaded. You know how they came out 8 in D1 and 3 and 4? SEC's got 5 or 6 teams in everybody's top 10. So, once again, a great league.
Guys like Dylan Cruz, Jacob Berry, Trey Morgan, Gavin Dugas, Cade Doty, I mean, these guys rake, okay? But the guy that Coach Jay Johnson thinks is going to be most important to the success, Cade Beloso. Guy had a phenomenal freshman year, had a horrible year last year, could not hit the broadside of the barn. A strong left-handed bat. Coach Jay Johnson said, he's working on his fundamentals, getting back, immediately changed his swing, and worked on, plate discipline, not swinging at balls. He said Cade Beloso is going to wow a lot of folks this year. I really hope that's the case.
And also have a lot more depth. They got McManus coming in as the catcher. Of course, Alex Milazzo and then some other kids. And so they are much deeper. It was crazy for a couple of years with LSU not having a lefty. Because when you're throwing BP, you got to have guys that have seen the lefty stuff. And so I would imagine this is going to be – and look, I had Ben McDonald on this week, and he said you're probably going to see more 5-3 games and 7-5 games. But guess what? People love offense. And then you get some of these guys, JP, that come in here throwing 97 and 98. There's going to be some real heat. But they'll take a while to figure out the roles in that pitching staff.
Right. A lot of guys get an opportunity to rack up some innings and show what they can do. Fontenot, Coach Johnson loves how he worked on his changeup, so he's going to get a lot more innings this year. You pick up a transfer from Southeastern, a left-handed kid. Coach Johnson brings a kid from Arizona. So a well-formulated, it's all about the matchups for Coach Johnson and what matchup's going to work best in a particular situation. So nobody's more detail-oriented, more analytical than Coach Jay Johnson, and I really look forward to that. Baseball is all about numbers. They keep track of everything, and he doesn't want the mindset of you're doing okay if you only fail 7 out of 10 times. He wants to do the little things and the big things to take care of themselves. And very much looking forward to a Jay Johnson era starting up in just under a month. But, man, a lot to happen since then. Of course, you had the February 2 signing date. Coach,
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today, and Coach Brian Kelly wants to round out that signee class. I want to thank you guys for watching Tigers Roar. For the Budman Buddy Songy, I'm Jonathan Poche. For Marty, Alan, Bert, and Katie in the truck, we thank you for watching Tigers Roar. Look forward to seeing you next week. The Budman Joe Burrow Wave.